Alright, after a few hiccups, I managed to connect us into Fenderman versus Monster Kai. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I hope you guys are comfy and cozy. Everybody go get yourself a snuggly blanket and get yourself a nice comfy cup of tea or coffee or whatever you prefer. Because this is gonna take a minute. This will take a little while. We've got a Quill here fighting against a very defensive Minerva. Admittedly, I do think this is heavily favored for the Quill. So this is the Belanu Elder list, right? We saw this a few times already, where the whole strategy of it is to, I guess it's not actually in the ashes yet, but at some point you're planning to play an It That Waits, and then that It That Waits will be eaten by the Belanu Elder to, you know, have that effect going on. But then also sacrifice, you use the Quill ability to inscribe and exscribe permanents to create duplicates of them, to create copies of Belanu Elders, to add more and more power onto the board repeatedly over and over again. Because you can consume previously played Belanu Elders that have the effect. It's all a bit strange. There's a lot of duplication. It's actually a pretty complicated, complex deck going on. But it's cool. I think it's nice. Minerva already used Open His Arms on the Belanu with the It That Waits text. It's in their hand. Ah, okay. So that is smart, right? And also actually kind of just effective because you can go and, you know, steal something quite powerful there. We can see how much ink the Quill has, so you can see currently she has 10. We do need to place this sometime, you know, like a little bit down there. But this is something kind of nice. By getting to spectate from the Quill's point of view, we actually get to have an insight in how many resources she has available and what this kind of resource consumption and usage actually looks like. There's God in a Bottle. Just a nice defensive option here. Sadly, plating actually not good against It That Waits. It's just not that powerful. Because here's It That Waits. Here's how it works, right? It has 3 abilities. The first one just modifies the other 2. If at the end of your turn at least one of my abilities isn't on cooldown, I double their damage and healing. And it has an ability that says I deal 1 damage to all opposing pages, and another ability that says I restore 1 health to all allied pages. So what's important with It That Waits is if you wait and you don't just spam both abilities, then they become more powerful. Very, very powerful. And very quickly at that. An important thing about the way this works is that since it deals damage to every page, if the pages are empty, that means you're going to have 7 instances of damage. And those will go to the opponent's hero. Well, I mean, those 7 instances of damage happen anyway, no matter how many pages are full or empty. But the important thing is that if there's nothing there, then that damage all goes to the opposing hero. And that can result in breaking through plating and barriers like nothing. Because, you know, multiple damage instances are really good against these kind of effects. So, It That Waits... Oh, apologies. Sorry. Oh. It That Waits is an incredibly powerful card. It's pretty high on mana cost, though. And that's why usually a Quill wouldn't really be able to spam it too easily with the inscribing, exscribing, because you just use up too much ink. But there's always a but. Oh my god. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. So, in this particular instance, what the Quill is looking to do is not actually inscribe and exscribe the It That Waits. That's not the goal at all. It's all about inscribing and exscribing the Belanu Elders to then consume the It That Waits. These are much, much cheaper. They're also way easier to kill. They only have 2 health, right? Against these It That Defiles lists we saw earlier, that would actually be a big problem because, you know, it turns out that they just kind of die. But you know what? In this particular instance, it's actually going to be fine. If Monster Kai doesn't prepare for this properly, doesn't use the ultimate, doesn't do any of that, then this will actually just end right now. One more companion is needed to protect him. Wait, that doesn't even do it. 2 more permanents need to be on the board. Ah, there we go. That's gonna be the ultimate. So another important piece in this kind of like combo is the Chamber of Realms. Damage dealt by and 2 permanents in this page is increased by 2. So you place the it.waits in the Chamber of Realms page, and now instead of shooting for 1 on turn, the first turn it's played, it shoots for 3. And turns out 3 is more than 1. I think. Pretty sure. And it ends up hurting quite badly. So that's definitely a way you can kind of utilize these elements even more. Quill has a lot of health and a lot of ink stored up though. I am... To put it lightly, I am concerned for Monster Kai. The act display in the middle of the board is a bit confused. Oh yes, we are in Act 3. This is just because we joined the game as it was already in Act 3. And it's a bit of a spectating issue. But you know what? I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? Alright, just gonna keep generating more and more ink here. I mean, if you are just gonna summon one of these cheap guys and you have extra mana, you can definitely just use that mana to, you know, get yourself these benefactors going on. Alright then. Monster Kai needs to put up something here that will be able to hold off another it.waits. Is there any good way to tell which player's turn it is while watching? The button. If it's red, top player. If it's green, bottom player. Easy peasy. No big deal. I thought we had like a secondary indicator, but I don't know what happened to that. I can't see it right now. Maybe it didn't load in properly. But no, it's just red button means opponent's turn, and we're viewing this from the perspective of Vanderman after all. So I think we talked about this yesterday already, but this particular Quill deck is doing very well in this tournament because so many players, again, tried to counter Tunny and aggro lists, that this deck, which is basically just saying, I'm gonna lose to Tunny and aggro, but I'm just gonna hope I don't run into it, turns out to be quite powerful. Nice health total. Nice. Alright, we've got a bit of a heal coming out here using the Balanu Elder with actually the copied it.waits abilities. But all that's needed here is to clear some of this stuff. Alright, we're not gonna finish the game right now, it seems. There's a focus. Is there... There was lethal. Was there lethal? No, there wasn't. Ah, it's a concede anyway. Alright, that was game 1. Again, guys, I hope you've got yourself comfy, because we will be spending some time here right now. Well, on that note, it is time for another prediction, I believe. Who wins, my friends? Is it going to be Minerva at the top or Quill at the bottom? I'm gonna go ahead and start this prediction. Alright then, there's not that much time left. Everybody go crazy, go nuts. Let's see what we get here. Oh, wow. Pretty optimistic on this Minerva, but no. Immediately overwhelmed into the other side. So here's kind of the funny thing. I actually personally believe, well, maybe I should wait until this is over. But if we think about what's coming up, all right? we have Magnarchitect coming up. We have a Bebulist coming up. Both of which are able to put out a lot of damage very quickly. Not necessarily quickly in terms of like immediately. Somebody just went hard on this Minerva. 150,000 points. Well, alright then. Someone has a lot of faith, for sure. Let's see how that works out. Looking at what's coming, I have to say I think that the Minerva probably has a better shot at actually winning the tournament. But I don't know if she can do this. I personally believe this is heavily in favor of the Quill, because the Quill it's just such a nasty matchup here. Alright, it seems we have encountered a little bit of a visual bug with the ink display here. So it's saying 11. That's a lie. We're currently at 0. Hoping that that updates as soon as the first bit of ink is gathered here. Just a casual hex painter, no big deal. 2 mana. And I think... I mean, you could just play hex painter there, yeah. And then you gather an ink. Perfect! Yeah, there you go. It actually updated. Alright, nice. So we know that the display is actually gonna be fine. Like, don't worry about it. It's not gonna be that whack. And this is, again, this is the power of Minerva. Alright? Minerva doesn't do a lot of damage all at once. That's not when she's strong. But what she does do is she chips away at everything over time. A point of damage here, another point of damage there, maybe a little bit more over there. And I know that may not seem like that big of a deal, right? Does it really matter that much that she did a point of damage there and another point of damage there? Yes, actually it does matter a lot. It changes the math a lot of things in the game. It really gives you the opportunity to give your side an advantage that you wouldn't otherwise have. And gives you this sort of like reliability that is really nice to have. And it's time to do nothing. I think I'm recovering some ink. I'm gonna X-scribe this mana drone. Very good. Oh yeah, this is where the ink printer goes brr. For sure. Or the quill printer goes brr. So it may seem like Monster Kai can just chill because this quill is clearly not putting up any sort of threat. But if you're just chilling like this, then Quill can actually start duplicating the mana drones and start gathering ink while doing so. And also, you know, it's not a strong board, but it is a board. It has something. It can generate some mana. Maybe it can ramp out and hit that weights a bit earlier than you would otherwise like to see. So completely, like sitting there and doing completely nothing. I don't know if that's right, but we'll see. Yeah, just gonna continue poking. This is again where I think this Minerva deck, which is really meant to fight against companions and fight against lists that are trying to, you know, like be a bit more aggressive. This is where it's struggling a little bit. All right. Quill printer goes brr. I guess I could use this time to explain how Quill works a little bit, right? Because I would guess that not everybody, even if you've played the game, you have necessarily played Quill. So what Quill does is she has access to 4 different primary abilities. You can see that she's using her abilities a lot. And her secondary ability isn't actually really an ability. Instead, what it does is it just swaps what your primary ability is. So she has 4 primary abilities and a secondary that doesn't do anything other than display how much ink you have and also swap your primary. So the primary abilities go as follows. She's got 1 ability to inscribe a permanent. What this does is it basically makes a note of a permanent. Hey, Pika buddy, you're wrong. But thank you very much for the 43 months. I really appreciate that. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yes, she can inscribe a permanent and then that permanent becomes part of like her internal list. Like she has a list of stuff, which her second primary actually allows her to view. So I guess it's actually her 3rd primary, but she has a primary ability that doesn't have a cooldown, doesn't have a mana cost, but also doesn't do anything. The only thing it does is it shows you what you currently have inscribed. You can only inscribe each type of, like each permanent once, so you can only have 1 mana drone inscribed at the time. You can't inscribe multiple mana drones. And having it inscribed doesn't inherently do anything.
Get out of here. Lasagna is the best food TM.
Hey, Pan and Com. I'm a lasagna fan. I like lasagna. Lasagna is good. Thank you very much. Her second primary ability is this right here, which has a mana cost of 1 and a cooldown of 1, which says gather 1 ink. So you play this and then you get an ink. This is how we build up this ink pool, which we will be needing later. So right now you can see we have 6 ink. This ability has 2 unique properties. First, after permanent enters the story, this ability refreshes. So if you can use it, you gain an ink, you play something, and then you can use it again, gain another ink. That's how you can like gather multiple ink a turn. Also, leftover mana is spent automatically during your opponent's turn. So whenever your opponent plays something, then you also automatically use the ability again. So, for example, we just gathered an ink because this Ica was being played. Make sense? The final ability that Quill has is X-Scribe. What X-Scribe does, it's a 2 mana ability. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this, but inscribing is also 2 mana. X-Scribing is another 2 mana ability, and it allows you to take one of your inscribed permanents and place it and play it. That uses up 2 mana to use the ability, and then also ink equal to the mana cost of the permanent. Does inscribing a permanent also convey its void state, damage taken, etc.? No. You get a completely fresh version of it. So when Quill inscribes the Bella Elders, she actually gets a completely new Bella Elder that she needs to consume something with before she can really use it. So, but yeah. When something is X-scribed, it is removed from the inscription list. So she no longer has access to that inscribed permanent. She needs to inscribe it again if she wants to use it again. And it consumes ink equal to the mana cost of it. So if, for example, you want to inscribe over, for example, if you want to inscribe something like a hex painter, that would then use up 2 ink. This may all seem like a bit much. In practice, this is how it works, right? This is what you do. You use the secondary primary ability to build up ink, right? We are gathering ink whenever we can because we need ink. Great, we have ink. I play something I want to copy. I inscribe it. That costs 2 mana. Then I X-scribe it, which costs another 2 mana and uses up the same amount of ink as the mana cost of that thing. So I can kind of duplicate things. So for example, right here, I think we're inscribing one of these hex painters and then immediately X-scribing it to play it again and have a second hex painter. This is only possible because we have spent time beforehand gathering up as much ink as possible so that we have this resource. you have to keep in mind that all of this consumes a ton of mana. Yes, this allows Quill to kind of really generate cards, which is insane, right? That is incredibly powerful. The fact that she's able to just make cards and play them for 2 mana or 4 mana or however much mana you want to think about it. But it takes a long time to set up. If I want to play something like an It That Waits, I first need to play it, right? So that's 9 mana for playing that. Cool, I have an It That Waits though, so that doesn't count. So we'll just disregard that. 2 mana to inscribe it, 9 mana to gather ink, and another 2 mana to exscribe it. And then I get 1 It That Waits for all of that effort. So it's not actually that easy. Alright? It is powerful. It is very, very powerful. But it is not easy. Quill is by far the most complicated hero in the game, if you ask me. She is very unique though, and feels really kind of special, if you ask me as well, I guess. I don't know. It's not a hero I would recommend for everybody. That's why I often joke that we don't talk about Quill, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that will look at that and they will then say, ah, that's, I don't even know about me. Why would I bother? All right, that's a lot of work. I don't want to work. And sure, if you want to work, then don't play Quill. Oh, don't do it. And honestly speaking, you can beat her pretty easily. Just go fucking face, you know? But if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, then she can be very, very fun and very rewarding. So yeah. Now, there are, so for example, one thing that Quill struggles against immensely is good old Gugu. So Duvdan Gugu is a hero, and Gugu has the ability to, this is really smart by the way, just gonna destroy that and then later use the, oh, I guess we better new Eldering right now. Alright, cool. So that's gonna consume the It That Waits. So, there is Duvdan Gugu. And what Duvdan Gugu does is whenever your opponent uses an ability, he deals 2 damage to them. So he just like shoots her like crazy. And that's something Quill really struggles against because she just has no way of actually dealing with it. Yeah, so that's a bit of a problem for her. But the way it looks right now, I think Quill has actually kind of reached the point where she wants to be. Lots of ink saved up. Access to an It That Waits, right? This Belanu Elder, which can just be killed over and over again. That's totally fine. And now the only thing missing is a Chamber of Realms mark, so that the Belanu Elder actually does damage the turn it's played. And never mind, there it goes. So this right here is the Cinder Symbiont. Cinder Symbiont has quite a bit of text, but it's not actually that complicated. It has one ability, I deal 2 damage to target companion if that destroys them. I mark the page they occupied with companions in this page of -1 attack. So this is just this. Companions in this page of -1 attack. And secondary ability, I void up to 2 companions with 2 or less attack from your opponent's ashes. So Cinder Symbiont is primarily used as a counter to make an architect. That's where Cinder Symbiont shines. Because you can play this guy, and it can poke the small little bots every turn, start putting down these really kind of strong negative markings over and over again, and it can really become a problem. Another thing you can do with it though, is you can fight off Belanu Elders, because Belanu Elders only have 2 health. So you can see down here, this guy is gone. And now Quill can't use the inscribed Belanu Elder to copy the It That Waits effect. So that's what this entire deck is structured around, right? It's all about trying to find opportunities to use the It That Waits effect. Finally, there's one more companion that is a really big problem for Quill, and that is already being brought on chat. That is the Asphyxiating Wishwander. What Asphyxiating Wishwander does is it completely negates your opponent's ability to use abilities at all. Right? Just can't use any abilities anymore while an Asphyxiating Wishwander is in play. And that turns out is a problem for Quill. Because, look, a lot of heroes depend on their abilities, right? It's not uncommon for a Chroma deck to be built around your hero's abilities. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? However, Quill really needs them. Like that, there's a lot going on with her that really depends on them. Finally, I've got this ultimate right here. So Quill's ultimate is definitely the simplest part of her. Repeat up to 10 times, deal 1 damage to target opposing permanent. So she just kind of like starts gunning things down, like poof, 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 poof. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Alright, very good. Yes, get rid of that Cinder Symbiont. The Cinder Symbionts are definitely a big problem for this Quill here, I think, because it just limits her ability to really interact with her opponent in the way that she wants to. So yeah. And I guess that's pretty much it. Landmark killer? Oh yes. Yeah. That ultimate is a landmark killer. Absolutely. But, hey, I guess that's just how it goes, right? What this Quill is still looking for is the Chamber of Velmsmark. And I have to say, I think the Quill was probably a little too greedy. I don't know if that's being silly to say that. But there's kind of a thing here where against Monster Kai, I think Quill is near guaranteed to win. Okay, Mickey's screaming in the other room and it is incredibly distracting. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Hello, I am trying to stop screaming, thank you. Okay, sorry, I am back. Yes. Mickey was just being very passionate about something in the other room, which made it kind of difficult for me to really pay attention to what was going on here. Sorry about that. So anyhow, what was I saying? Oh yes. So the Chamber of Realms is kind of like the last missing piece in this all, right? Because with that, your it.waits waits just hits way harder. But as I was just a second ago, I said that I think right here it's actually important that Quill takes it a bit slower. Because there are a lot of ways for your stuff to be removed, right? We already saw the Cinder Symbionts, we saw the Open Arms. And, you know, if possible, you don't really want to take that risk because you don't need to. You just need to kind of like try and survive for long enough. Eventually you should be able to build up enough tempo that you can just use the it.waits after having forced everything else out of your opponent. Monster Kai is playing a very slow controlling deck, so using the inscription and exscription should help you a lot with just building up a board of, you know, why not just build up a bunch of Ghosts of Goodwill, right? Or like a bunch of Spire Protectors. Is that ideal? No, not necessarily, but you know, Monster Kai doesn't really want to deal with that either. Oh, this is there's one Open Arms, 2 Open Arms. Alright, that's 2 Open Arms already played. It's kind of interesting. Quill Sword is amazing with locked and loaded. Yes. Yeah, it's very strong with that. And here comes the it.waits. So that's, of course, the scary one. We're going to see it inscribed as well. So even if this it.waits gets destroyed, Quill can exscribe it. Although, and this is really important, it uses up the majority of her ink. Right? She has 12 of it right now. So losing that much would be a problem. Although this is nearly lethal. I think you go for it, right? You exscribe it, use the ability, and then just inscribe it again. Or do you chill? No, I think you go for this, right? Or fuck it. Because there is... No, okay. Okay. I know, it's just, you know, you've got 24 health on this Minerva. Like, you would... go into act, well, you're already in act 3, but you would just force her to a really low amount of HP. Oh, I see what's happening. Clever. Okay, so what we're doing is we're getting Anid reached back so that after Monster Kai plays the it.waits, you just copy it. You just steal it. And that way it will eventually end up in your ashes anyway. Oh, well, it will end up in the ashes, so you can Bella Nu Elder it. I think a Bella Nu Elder is still inscribed. Oh, I guess we're just playing the it.waits this turn anyhow. Oh yeah, right. It doesn't use 9 mana, it only uses 2 mana. It just uses 9 ink, so you can see she's kind of running out of ink. Alright, there we go. Quick inscription. Gonna build up a little bit more ink again. And Monster Kai is nearly dead. There's still at least one more turn for this Minerva before the game is over, because there is this ultimate prevent all damage dealt during your opponent's next turn. So, and that's just kind of like a get off me, stay away, I get one turn. Yeah, this is very powerful. Very, very powerful. Well, I mean, I expected. I mean, you gotta do that, or you gotta deal with this it.waits. But I feel like just dealing with the it.waits is maybe a bit too risky. Alright, here's another one. There's the Bag of Crowns, and now we use it, yeah. So here's the Minerva Ultimate, which will just act as like a protection for this it.waits. But this is actually like the perfect moment for Fenderman. Because, first of all, it.waits can heal. So you just use this turn to heal. And you it reached back, steal Monster Kai's it.waits, and then for hire for sale and get yourself a few more in the hand. I mean, the main goal of this deck is to do this kind of nonsense with the Bella Nu Elders. But you don't have to. I mean, like, who cares, really? Alright, there we go. That's the healing. That's another wave of healing coming. Oof. Oh, yeah. And here's some more ink. Inscribing. Can you even inscribe it? Don't you already have one? Oh, I guess we're inscribing a little mana drone. Might as well. And that's it, I think. I don't know what Monster Kai can do here. Yeah, I mean, that protects from that one, but there's 2 more in hand. And with that, Quill takes it. Nice! Look at that. Well, Arena Points economy is about to collapse again. But Quill actually takes the game. And with that, we close out losers quarters. Now we're moving into losers semis. And we will do that in the next video.